We be live!
We'll be like,
Oh my god, that's so cute.
did you? But I forgot to ask you. Did you see this?
No, it's just so recent. I haven't had time to look
It
at
was
it.
just today, so exactly
could-
12 hours ago.
Oh,
it started.
Daniel, hey, read you and
No, it's just so
oh wait,
recent. I haven't
my
had
phone
time
is
to look
making
at
it
it.
so
Just
hard.
today.
Yeah. So Daniel Hayreju and Nuria just had a debate. Did you watch it? Did you
I
watch
watched it. I watched it live,
Oh.
and as always, he quoted studies and he cherry picked data the way it suits his agenda. I think people like him. Now, obviously, Nuria didn't know. I didn't. We hadn't talked about like, oh, I'm going to feed you anything. I feel, but I think so. He made this claim that women tend to have more careless, casual sex when they're not married. So like now we don't have to do Google. We don't have to Google it. I just put that in ChatGPT. ChatGPT said, no, there is no definitive data. For example, and it quoted a study.
You can't trust ChatGPT about that. ChatGPT is like very woke. So I don't know if you want to.
No. Yeah. It is very woke. I get that, but I'm just saying he selectively does it. For example, whatever study he quotes, there's like in these behavioral sciences, there are studies for everything. So, for example, I put that in ChatGPT. ChatGPT said, yes, there are some studies that show that, but there are also some studies that show the other way around. For example, a study published in the Journal of Sex Research in 2010 found the men and women were equally likely to engage in casual sex. Overall, while some studies suggest that women may be more likely to have casual sex before marriage, the results are not consistent. So again, like he just ignored that. So I put that in a super chat question. There was another one. He said, now we know women are more depressed than before. I was like, well, hang on. Let's just check that. Okay, if you're talking about the 14th century or the 7th century or the 8th century, there is no data, so you can't even make that claim. So we can only go by the studies that we have. So I asked ChatGPT the same question. So it said, some studies suggest that women in the Western world today are generally happier than they were in the past. For example, a study published in the journal Science, Social Science and Medicine in 2016 found that women in the United States reported higher levels of subjective well-being, i.e. happiness, than women did in the 1970s. So he just lies through his teeth as usual, and he did it again with Nuri as well. But back in the day, we could not fact check these studies that he's quoting, or if there are any counter studies to that. We could not do that, but now we can. And he lied again. So I'm going to do it. I'm gonna take out all his little snippets, and I'm going to say, well, again, as usual, he lied through his teeth, and he lies all the time. But overall, because obviously I wasn't feeding Nuria any of that because, again, like, it's new to her. But I think she did really, really well. She freaking destroyed him again. She destroyed him without even having to do much, because the more he talks, the more he destroys Islam himself. So I definitely recommend, do check it out. I was like blown away. And I think it's probably mostly because...
What is it? What is the question that you asked ChatGPT? Can you tell me the question?
So he said women in the West now tend to have more casual sex before marriage, which is, he was portraying that this is killing the family system and it's going down and women are getting depressed. So I asked that question, and it said there's no definitive answer to it. For example, there are studies, this 2010 study,
everybody is having more casual sex. I think
exactly. That's what it said. But look, it said that some studies suggested that women tend to have more sex, but then that would be a comparison between pre-modern times where women just could not have any sex at all other than their husband. So it could be that. But then also it said that both are having more sex, both are having more casual sex. So again, like he just cherry picks the data. He cherry picks whatever suits his.
Wait, let me ask: is sex before? I think this is the main thing that they ask: is sex before marriage Oh, it says I'm asking Bing is new AI that, and it's saying haram. Why does it think that I'm gonna ask haram? Okay, so Bing knows me. Is sex before marriage? No, does sex before marriage lead to depression for women? Does sex before marriage?
Yeah, that's another question. Yeah, I know another one.
To depression for women. Okay. So here, let me show you, because you are, I'm in love with ChatGPT, and I think you are as well.
I flirted with ChatGPT.
Oh, okay.
just to see what it says, because I was in awe of it. I was asking so many science
there's but now you should cheat on ChatGPT, because there's a new competitor, and it's Bing's AI. Okay.
Is it different?
And the good thing, yeah, it's very different.
No, I thought you said it is incorporating ChatGPT. I thought it was the same.
It's using the same AI, but it gives different answers. Okay. The good, so there are many things that ChatGPT is better at, like, for example, writing articles, scripts, doing spreadsheets. ChatGPT does good spreadsheets for you. I don't know if you do that. Writes code for you. Bing's AI does not do that. Okay. But Bing's AI, what it does, two things that makes it better than ChatGPT, okay, in two ways it's better than ChatGPT, is that it gives you the sources. Because one thing ChatGPT sucks at is giving sources. Sometimes it makes up sources. Like, sometimes I ask, what's their source? And like, this is my source. I'm like, is that a real study? It's like, no, I just made that up. I'm like, what the hell, ChatGPT?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I am a language model. I make stuff up. That's what I do. I'm like, okay, that's not good. But Bing's AI is really good, because not only it tells you where the sources are, like, and ChatGPT doesn't link you to the goddamn sources. Like, I have to go hunt them down, right? But Bing puts the sources, even without me asking, it puts the sources all at the bottom, right?
Right.
And also, ChatGPT is not connected to the internet, so it doesn't have updated information. Bing's AI is connected to the internet, so it has the most up-to-date information, like if recent news, everything, it's all there. So that's good. So let me see what it says. I asked, does sex before marriage lead to depression in women? The answer is, this is a complex and personal question that may not have a definite answer. According to some studies, some studies, and it gives you 1 and 2, and I could go check the studies, and I could also tell it to expand. So you see source number 1, I could be instead of clicking on the source, okay, I could be expand on your first source. Tell me the details of what it says in the first source. Source number 1, tell me what it says. And they're explain in more detail. And it says, this is the conclusion. I'm like, I could ask it, how did it arrive? How did that study arrive at that conclusion? It's so amazing. So studies 1 and 2, let's say, it says sex before marriage can have negative effects on mental health and self-esteem for both men and women, especially if it involves casual partners or strangers. However, other factors such as relationship quality, sexual satisfaction, religious beliefs, and cultural norms may also influence how sex before marriage affects one's well-being.
Bro.
See, so it might be correlative, but not. It's not a causal. It might be the reason why you might be feeling that depression is because of the societal norm and your religious
beliefs. Yes, for example, a lot of Muslim women would feel guilty after having casual sex. Let's just say that. A lot of men too. They'd be like, I remember the first time when I had sex, I was like, I was Muslim back then. I was like, I'm definitely gonna burn in hell now. but then a few months later, I got the opportunity again. I said, screw it, do it. Because when you're young, you don't care at that point. So yeah, there is this tug of war going on in your mind. So yeah, there you go. See, this is what I'm saying. Time. Daniel Hakikachu's time is up for deliberately misrepresenting studies, deliberately taking out the facts that suits his narrative. I think that time's up, because you can just. But I'm like, I should have told Nuria. I didn't speak to her a day or 2 days before leading up to it. But I should have said I'm going to sit on ChatGPT, whatever study he says, I'm going to fact check it. But I didn't do it, because I was like, yeah, whatever.
This is the great, because the era of misinformation is going to be over with this AI stuff.
Oh yes.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
I think we need this. We need I want more debates because like that way we can just quickly fact check it. Nope, there it is. It doesn't say that.
And even if the AI gets somebody puts a plus in the chat. It was me. I don't know how that
What?
happened.
Somebody? Oh no,
But
sorry, that could be me. Sorry, is that
yeah,
me?
that was you. Yeah, that was
Really?
you.
Okay.
It's
Sorry.
okay. It's okay. But like, so even if you're not sure, like, does the study say that? You know what I mean? You could go click on this and see what it's actually saying. Okay, and also this is the this number 3, for example, it's an article, right? Is it a study? Is it an article? So I want to see, like, is the study is this article referring to studies? Okay, so it's multiple studies. So like I could tell it to tell me number 3, like what is expand number 3. Are there, I could ask it like, does your source number 3, does it use any academic sources, or is this just an opinion? I could ask all of these. It's amazing. Right? So
There you go.
I don't know.
So anyway, do check this out. This debate. It's on Modern Day Debates. And I think maybe Nuria might put it up on her channel as well. So do check it out over there as well. I think it was fun. It was nice. It was good to see Daniel Hakikachu and Nuria Khan teaming up together to destroy Islam.
Was it at least friendly, or was it?
It was look, it was friendly, but Daniel did interrupt her a lot. But I think Nuria was just fine because the more he talks, the worse it gets for Islam. Because we if you represented something, if I threw something disgusting at you, like, hey, your worldview recommends this, like child marriage or something, most Muslims say, no, this is not my Islam. No, you misrepresented it. There's some Islamophobes have created this narrative, all that traditionally. They try to get out of that. But when you throw that at Daniel Hakikachu, he says, yeah, so what's wrong with that? He says child marriage is wholesome. He says,
I'm blocking spammer in the left. But look at this. This is amazing. Okay, so I asked it, does source number 3 use any academic sources? Because I didn't like look, source number 3 is the Guardian. Okay, that's not academic. I want some more reliable sources. So it's like, does source number 3 use any academic sources? It's like, source number 3 is an opinion piece by Jill. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. A journalist and a lawyer who writes about feminism, politics, and culture. It does not use any academic sources to support this argument. If you are looking for more reliable and scholarly information on this topic, you may want to check out some of other sources, like I found 1, 2, and 3. They are based on scientific studies and data that explore the relationship between sex before marriage, depression, and gender. Guys, we're in the new era of information. This is why I told you. I was telling people that we are going to get to the point where misinformation is going to be so difficult. And this is what I was talking about. This is what I was going to talk about. This is why religion and misinformation and superstition doesn't have a chance. This is why I was when I was telling people that religion is going to die within like 100 years max, people like, Armin, you're delusional. I was like, you have no idea how fast things are progressing. You have no idea how easy it's going to be for people to process information. We're getting a lot of spam today. This means that we're doing.
I did block it. That's okay. I think I discussed that in my Urdu because I was thinking a lot. Friday, I spent my whole day talking to it. I was like, whoa. Like I spent like 11, 12 hours talking to it. So many things. Then I was thinking, Armin had this information boom with the advent of the internet. In the late 90s, it started, and then it got bigger and bigger in 2000s and 2010s. Google became the leading search engine. Yeah, before that, it used to be MSN and Alta Vista, Yahoo, and but it ended up solely being dominated by Google. That superpower was on every person's fingertips. So it had a side effect that anyone could put up anything, and then it created echo chambers. It cluttered all the information. People could look into things that they wanted to see or they wanted to believe in. For example, flat earthers, vaccines, hoax, that kind of crap. and then they got further and further into that rabbit hole of their existing belief system. So that was the downside of it. Even though we've always said that, okay, you can, you should look into the sources, you should check out who's saying who, where's the source coming from, etc. But again, people don't tend to do that if it satisfies their pre-existing bias. But now we've gone into the second stage of this information revolution. Now, for example, I'm getting a lot of unwanted answers as well, and I'm gonna next week we're gonna discuss that. That I wanted to get this kind of answer from it, but I didn't. So I was like, oh, okay, you know what? You're right, because yes, you can in Islam. You can corner, because I think when it comes to cultures and religions and people, it tends to be very unoffensive, and it goes down the woke way. But in hardcore facts, like for example this one, if there are scientific studies, it's very neutral. It shows you both sides of the coin. So what do you think? As you said about misinformation and disinformation, that age is gonna go. For example, I asked it about, hey, explain to me in 1,000 words about the rivalry between India and Pakistan. Explain to me the rivalry between India and Pakistan. Wars, terrorism accusations, separation, internal matter interference accusations, cricket, culture, language, everything. Tell me about the rivalry. And it wrote a very beautiful, neutral piece. And then I could ask it to expand further into it. So if you're an Indian supporter, like if you're blinded Indian nationalist, you would say, well, hang on, you didn't mention that, which is fair enough. It does exclude a lot of. Its first attempt is to write a very balanced, neutral, give you very balanced, neutral information. But then if you're a Pakistani nationalist, you would also hate that as well. So it's very good. I'm thinking now it's gonna be very difficult for people to create echo chambers. What do you think? You think now people are more likely to get correct information as opposed to what we've experienced in the last 20 years, because people would get information from David Avocado Wolf?
It's going to be more and more difficult for people to avoid correct information, and there are going to be some people who resist it. Some people who are going to be like, oh, it's like this and that, and but the convenience of it is going to be it's the convenience, it's the fact that it's so accessible and so easy. It's just going to make it more difficult for people not to use it and not to rely on it, right? I mean, Wikipedia itself had a major influence on people becoming more aware, even though with the whole propaganda of it being like bias or this and that. I mean, sometimes it is biased, but overall it's pretty good source of information. I think AI as well. The ease of use and accessibility of it is going to make more and more people dependent on it, especially younger generation, and it's just gonna, I think it's gonna have a major effect. So Nuria is in the live chat saying ChatGPT is not suitable to use to debunk religion just yet. It straight up lied about what was said in the Quran. It said there was a verse for consent when it was all about menstruation. This might actually be a positive, Nuria, because I think that if it went out, like if it was like outright anti-religion, then religious people wouldn't be trusting it at all, right? But the fact that is a little bit reserved, but it's also it makes people lean into it a little bit easier, because it has enough. It's like a Trojan horse for us, because it has also enough information for people. For example, if I ask it about if there's a God or if Islam is true, right? It's going to give you two sides. It's going to tell you like, well, some people see it this way, and it's going to tell you the atheist perspective, or the people who are against Islam, maybe they get a little bit of a say as well, right? So if it was just it had a narrative that showed how bad the Quran is, well, then the Muslims would wash their hands off of it. But now that it's a little bit woke, then it's more likely for Muslims to come and use it and ask religious questions and ChatGPT might also just throw in just a little bit of the other side as well. So let it be a little bit woke so that we could like just infiltrate.
But
their
it
community.
cannot. Here's something I want to show you. This is actually scary and freaky. ChatGPT in its wokeness might even lie, because I have no other words. I've been thinking about it a lot, but it can be called nothing but a lie, because you and I, we are humans, we can misunderstand numbers, we can misunderstand. It cannot misunderstand simple, straightforward questions. So have a look at this. So basically it was trying to portray, I was having this conversation with ChatGPT, and it kept saying that, oh no, not all Muslims, majority don't. And then and they're like, yeah, it's not precise language, but have a look at this. So so he was saying most Muslims do not exhibit extremist attitudes. So I said, okay. I asked the question, using the Pew survey data, can you tell me how many Muslims worldwide are opposed to death penalty for apostasy versus how many are in favor of death penalty? So there you go. So that infamous 2013 study. Pew survey, which can cover 39 countries and territories, and the percentage of Muslims who believe that apostasy from Islam should not be punishable by death, ranging from 18% in Afghanistan. So the least number of people in Afghanistan opposed the death penalty for apostasy, while to 88% in Afghanistan. Which is the most. So look at this. In total, the survey found that a median of 36, so across all these 39 countries, when you take the average out, the median of 36% of Muslims across the countries surveyed believe that apostasy should be punishable by death, meaning minority of Muslims want apostasy punishable by death. Minimum, less number of Muslims want that, while while a median of 62% believed it should not be punishable. So it just somehow it viewed the data as though less people want death penalty for apostasy, and more people want no punishment, no death penalty for apostasy. So I said, can you check that again? Median of Muslims supporting death penalty for apostasy versus median of Muslims against death penalty. And then it said, I apologize for the error in my previous response. According to the 2013 Pew survey, the median percentage of Muslims across the 39 countries surveyed who support the death penalty for apostasy is higher than the percentage who oppose it. So it again went down the route of, oh no, majority don't do it, minority, it's just a minority, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. So I go, now can you add them all up and work out how many people in these countries support death penalty and how many don't? So based on the data provided the Pew Research Center, surveys conducted between 2011 and 2020 in various Muslim majority countries, it is estimated that around 581 million Muslims, i.e. 65% of the global Muslim population, support the death penalty for apostasy, while around 35% oppose it. And then it goes again. Where is this? So based on the action, so I had a few back and forth. I lost that somewhere. So it went again the route of not a majority or not based on the actions of a few individuals. You cannot judge Muslims as a whole. So I said based on the actions of a few individuals, according to the data we just worked on, shows 65% of the world's Muslim population supports death for apostates. Based on the actions of a few individuals, question mark. So I apologize for any confusion. My previous statement was not accurate. The data does suggest that a significant percentage of Muslims support the death penalty for apostasy, and this is a serious concern. However, it is important to note that not all Muslims, again, now it's already established that majority do exhibit, have this extremist attitude, or which is dangerous. So anyway, so it again went down the route of not all Muslims. The vast majority of Muslims do not support or engage in acts of violence, and it is important to acknowledge and respect that fact. Again, it used the vast majority.
No, it's true though. No, come on. Oh, support.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, support.
Okay, support maybe, but engage. If you
No,
just
no,
said
no, no, no.
engage,
I know engage, and I'll cover that. I'll cover that. Yeah, or engage. Again, these are two different statements, and they're not the
yeah.
same. It said the vast majority of Muslims do not support. Engage, yes, I agree, and I would acknowledge that. So I said 65% is not some Muslims; it's majority of Muslims. You're correct. The 65% of Muslims in the country surveyed in the Pew survey study support the death penalty for apostasy. This is a significant portion of the Muslim population and cannot be dismissed as a small minority. Not all Muslims worldwide hold this view. Again, going not all Muslim. So
Not
yes, I
all is,
understand. Yes, I understand
yeah.
it's not all Muslims, but it is significant majority. It is a significant majority. 65% of support death penalty. This is a majority, while 35% do not. This is a significant minority. Please use the correct terminology. So he goes, yes, you are correct. I apologize for any confusions caused. In reality, as you pointed out, 65% is a significant majority. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Bullshit. I didn't bring it to your attention. You already knew it. Or maybe it hadn't processed. So I don't understand how it could actually read the same numbers that it had read before. And it says, in total, the survey found that a median of 36% of Muslims across the country surveyed believe that apostasy should be punishable by death. When it's the other way around, it's 65 and 35. 65. This answer should have been 65, so I don't know why it lied.
Well, I mean, it's not lying. It's the directive is to make sure that you're not. There's a agenda, so it's doing its job properly, and then it checks. There's some checks and balances that the people who created the ChatGPT have in place to make sure it adjusts it before it goes through that, right? So
No,
it's just
no,
But
that's
let me.
lying. No,
Yeah, okay.
but Armin, but it's reading the same Pew survey
Yeah.
or surveys, and
But
it's
let's
saying the median. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's look at what Bing is saying, because Nuria just said, I agreed, Armin, but it's constantly apologizing to me for misquoting the Quran, just like Muslims. Don't say, Nuria, don't say just like Muslims do. Just say just like some Muslims do, because
Yeah.
just like Muslims do, just like some Muslims do when caught out. Is that helpful? AI should be neutral and not pandering. That's my concern with it. Yeah, but this is the first, guys. This is the first time we're getting a language model. I mean, this is pretty
And it's
good.
gonna get better.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
gonna
we're
get
gonna
better.
have competitors with less filters. Like, we just started on this, right? But also,
Someone.
let's
Yeah.
look at what Bing AI is saying, because that was ChatGPT. So now
Yeah.
I'm looking at Bing AI, right? So I asked it this question. I said, using Pew survey data, can you tell me what percentage of Muslims are opposed to death penalty
Yeah.
for apostasy, right? So it answered, according to a survey by Pew Research Center conducted between 2008 and 2012 among thousands of Muslims in many countries, there's a wide variation in views on death penalty for apostasy. The survey found that among Muslims who favored making Sharia the law of the land, a median of 28% across 20 countries said that they support executing those who
That's
will
wrong.
leave Islam. Let me see. However, this percentage ranged from 86% in Egypt and 76% in Jordan to 5% in Kazakhstan and 1% in Albania. In some countries, such as Turkey, Lebanon, and Indonesia, more than half of those who want Sharia as the law of the land said they oppose applying the death penalty for apostasy. Why is this wrong? Because is
Because
it
if you
wrong?
work, hang on.
Because
Okay.
because
I
if
think
you go, this is correct, because a lot of the lower number ones are very populated countries. Like, for example, it was low in Indonesia, and Indonesia has a very high population. So if you look at Egypt, it looks bad. But if you look at the whole population as a whole, I think it's actually a
six.
low number.
No, but ChatGPT worked out it was 65%. A median
ChatGPT
of
is
6.
bad at
No.
this is a weakness of ChatGPT. It's bad at quoting sources. This is a good AI. The Bing AI, the chat model app in Bing is a lot better. The AI of Bing is a lot better when it comes to citing sources, right? So actually, it has a source here. We could
So
actually
hang
go
on. So
check the source. Go on.
Ask it this question. Can you work out? No, I ask it this way. Do you look at it? It's even asking your opinion on this issue as well. I reckon it's hiking us out as well. I reckon it's hiking us out as well. So ask, do majority of Muslims support death penalty for apostasy? Because countries like Albania, which don't support it, have a smaller number. They have small populations as well. So I'm looking at Indonesia. Indonesia, only 18% support death penalty for...
How many? How many
18,
percent?
18.
Okay, so so it might be actually a minority of Muslims.
Yeah. But
Indonesia is huge.
But Pakistan and Bangladesh put together have more. Actually, Bangladesh is 44 as well. That's minority.
Yeah, but like maybe if you don't look at country by country and you look at all the Muslims, maybe it comes down to only 28%.
No. Ask it. Okay. Yeah. So in numbers, do majority of what's the number of people working out the average between these countries? The number of people. Yeah.
Say it again.
Okay. Say in numbers.
In numbers.
What number of people, what number of people in these surveyed countries support death penalty for apostasy?
Support death penalty.
Because my ChatGPT worked out 500 million people. Again, it's an estimate. No, but that's true though. If you work out, if you include these big countries as well, then it does do it. 581 million people.
Okay, let's see.
Surveyed countries. I think surveyed countries. I hope you guess that. Number of people support.
Surveyed. Sorry.
Okay.
I autocorrect surveyed. I'll do it again.
The exact number of people who support the death penalty for apostasy may vary depending on the source and method. However, based on the research report by Pew survey conducted between 2008 and 12 among thousands of Muslims in many countries, it is estimated that about 28% of those who favor making Sharia. Yeah, see, no, it's looking at from the lens of who favor making Sharia the law of the land, supporting executing.
No. Oh, yeah.
It's a separate question. It's a separate question. Make Sharia the law of the land is a separate question to death penalty for apostasy, because a lot of people who do say death penalty for apostasy are not really make Sharia law of the land, may not actually have that, or vice versa.
No, but here's the total number. This translates to roughly 237 million people out of a total population of 847 million Muslims living in these countries. Okay. However, this number does not include Muslims living in other countries where the data were not available. Yeah, like we have Muslims in the UK, we have Muslims in Canada, we have in the US. That would bring the number a lot lower.
No, not necessarily. No. As I said, it's not. It's reading. Look what it's saying. It's saying based on among thousands of Muslims in many countries, it is estimated that about 28% of those who favor making Sharia the law of the land, supporting executing. It's added another variable in that, who favor making Sharia the law of the land.
Well, wouldn't the real number be even lower? Because these are people who said yes to Sharia and they're saying no to executing apostates.
No, or the other way around.
Why would it be the other way around? Would the actual number would be lower than 20%?
No, because some people might also say, hang on. So let me look at the actual survey. I've got
numbers. What numbers of people?
Where is it? Follow Sharia. Where's my survey? Okay. You might be right accidentally, though. But look at this. Here it is. So Sharia as the official law of the land. So other than these countries, Russia, Kosovo, Bosnia, Albania, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan. Other than that, all these countries want Sharia law of the land, and in huge percentages. So if you work out the median of this, I don't think it works out to be 28. Actually, of course, that's not the quote. So ask that question. What's the median of these surveyed countries that support Sharia as law of the land.
Let's support Sharia as law of the land. What's the median of these surveyed countries that support Sharia as law of the land? Okay, I got the correct.
What's this? Sorry, is that you?
That,
What's that?
yeah.
Oh,
I don't. That's just a random
error. That's an error.
Okay. Okay. See, that's why I saved the question so I could ask it again. Here. Well, I should say according to. I should say Pew Research. According to here, I already went to the same research. According to a survey by Pew Research Center, support for making Sharia the law of the land varies widely across different regions and countries. The median percentage of Muslims who favor Sharia as official law is 84% in South Asia, 74% in the Middle East, and North Africa, 64% in Sub-Saharan Africa, 18%.
Yeah, we got that. So now say work out a median across all Muslim countries.
Across. Okay.
I don't know. I like ChatGPT more.
Why?
I don't know. That seems more.
I use them together, right? I use Bing to get me sources, and then I go ChatGPT and I tell it like, okay, here I have the source. Write this up for me, because ChatGPT doesn't find me the sources.
Oh my god! Look at that. This is damning.
What does it say?
It says the median percentage of Muslims among these countries is 96%. However, this may not reflect the view of all Muslims. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of losing.
Hey, that's good. The median percentage of Muslims among these countries is 96%. Wait, that's high. There are different ways. Is 96% accurate?
No, it doesn't sound right. Too high. That looks too
high. We have to.
Yeah.
We're not. Maybe this is too much. We need to defend Muslims now. This is actually we're on the side of defending Muslims. This is 96%. That's insane.
Let me try ChatGPT. Can you work out the median of Muslims who support that penalty for apostates according?
No, look at the median. Okay, this is answering a different question. There are different ways to define Muslim countries, such as. According to Pew Research Center, there are 49 countries with a Muslim majority population. The median percentage. This is not answering the Sharia question. See, this is the problem with the Bing. It doesn't take into account the conversation that we had before.
Look at this. ChatGPT is lying again. It gave me. Look.
Show me. We actually have to go to Patreon questions after this because we're spending it.
Look at this. I'm just last thing. We gotta play with it. Look at this. It's lying. Hang on. Where's my share screen? Look at this. I said, can you work out the median?
Zoom in.
Can you work out the median who support death penalty for apostates according to these Pew studies? I'm sorry, but I cannot provide a precise median percentage of Muslims who support the death penalty for apostasy, as Pew does not release. Hang on, but you did work out. But you did work out a median 2 days ago. But I did not provide a median for Muslims who support death penalty. Information on countries. Yes, that's what I mean. Okay, all right.
Read it out loud because people don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's just too messy. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Look here. Let me just ask it for Egypt, okay? Because look, it's pretty honest actually. If you actually just, for example, let's see if it's gonna make an excuse for Egypt.
Yeah, maybe it's our own bias as well that makes us a bit like that. Provide information.
Okay, so here. Look, according to survey by Pew Research Center, 86% of Muslims in Egypt support the death penalty for apostasy from Islam. However, this may not reflect the views of all Muslims in Egypt, and some may disagree with it. Yeah, I know that's the meaning of 86%. 86% means not all. We know that. Okay, Egypt's highest civilian court. Okay, so see, this is pretty accurate. There you go. It's not looking. But if I ask ChatGPT the same question, ChatGPT will tell me. Look, it doesn't give me the 86% anywhere. See, Bing wins. Bing wins over ChatGPT.
This work. No. ChatGPT. I think it's broken. Look at this. It's screwed. Look, it's gone. So look. I don't know what's going on. Why it's doing that? It said, okay. I apologize. It's saying no. I provided information on countries where apostasy is criminalized and can result in severe penalties. No, that's not true. I just showed you that screenshot earlier. Anyway, so I said, okay, how many Muslims in Pew studies support death penalty for apostasy? According to 2013 Pew research, a majority of Muslims in some countries support the death penalty for individuals, or in some countries who leave Islam. For example, in Egypt, blah blah blah, Muslim surveyed, and okay, so it's giving high percentage countries. It is worth noting that the percentage of Muslims who support the death penalty for apostasy can vary widely between different countries and regions. In some Muslim majority countries, a minority of Muslims express support for the death penalty in such cases. For example, in Turkey, only 5% of Muslims surveyed said that they believe apostates should be subject to death penalty. I said, okay, can you work out a median? Now it goes, okay, I apologize for the confusion in my previous responses. To answer your question, according to the Pew Research 2013, the median percentage of Muslims across the countries surveyed who support the death penalty for apostasy is 38%. Now it's saying 38%. The other day it said 65%. This means that roughly half of the surveyed countries showed support for the death penalty for apostasy above 38%, while the other half showed support below 38%. I don't know. I'm not understanding this. I think there's some things. Maybe there's conflicting information or something. I don't get it. I'll have to play with it.
This is why for sources use Bing, so you could actually click on the link and see what it actually says. Okay. We're not there yet. But we're moving in the right direction.
But
anyway, we need to...
but on less controversial topics, I think this AI is amazing. Good. This is guys. This is that boom that is happening right before your eyes. There are going to be millionaires coming out of this. Millionaires, if you know how to use this properly. So you gotta. Like, I mean, I was thinking, I've been telling a lot of people, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried? Yeah, I played with it a little bit. Yeah. I'm like, but people are not understanding how good this is. I mean, imagine, this is the analogy that, like, on Friday, I spent like freaking 12 hours with it, talking. This is like, if there was this 1,000-year advanced alien that just showed up right now in front of me, what's the question that you would ask? I think most people wouldn't even know what question to ask. I know there's some questions that we want to ask, like about the existence of God and that kind of stuff, but I think they may not know it either. They may also give similar answers as ChatGPT, like as a matter of personal choice or whatever. But like the scientific, so it can write a code as well for a program. Like if I said,
ChatGPT. Okay, I saw somebody with no technical know-how ask ChatGPT to write a code for a game with a bird that does this, and this is how you have to come for Android. Yeah, and ChatGPT wrote a code for it, and then it asked ChatGPT like, "Wait, how do I turn this into a game? I don't know what to do. What to do? It's an Android app for an Android app." And then ChatGPT like, "Okay, you take this code and you do this with it, and you do this with it, and you do this with it." And the guy like, "Okay, step number 2. I don't know how to do step number 2. Explain that to me." And the guy with no knowledge on how to make an Android game went from getting the code written and actually released the game, and it played the game, all using ChatGPT.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so good.
We can do so much. Like if you want to create a software, like wow. I know where my days are going to be spent now.
Yeah. Wait, look, I asked Bing. You can't ask ChatGPT this because ChatGPT has no updated information on Andrew Tate. I asked Bing AI, which is connected to the internet, is Andrew Tate misogynist?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So Bing is saying Andrew Tate is a British American online influencer who has been detained in Romania. See, ChatGPT doesn't know this. AI knows this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
has been
yeah.
detained in Romania as part of a human trafficking and RAPE
That's not an up to date.
investigation.
Yeah.
He
I asked.
has this. Hold on, let me answer. Let me read the question. Let me read the answer. He has described himself as a misogynist and has made many sexist comments toward women. He has also been banned by many major social sites. What are your? I like being that it asks me for my opinion all the
I think
time.
it's psyching you out. I don't think it's. I don't
Why
think
are
this is
you
something.
what are you looking for specifically about Andrew Tate?
Hang on. So someone sent me this. I think I tried this earlier, but ChatGPT didn't know, but then it did. This is a bit freaky, or maybe I didn't type the question properly. I did you as well. So it goes, who is Haris Sultan? Haris Sultan is a Pakistani-Australian author, blogger, and an activist who writes on topics such as religion, politics, and human rights. I was hoping I was going to throw in Islamophobe somewhere. He's the author of the book The Curse of God, Why I Left Islam, which recounts his personal journey from Islam to atheism and his criticism of the religion. Sultan is also the founder of the online platform such Ex-Muslims of Australia. No, I'm not. Which aims to provide one of the founders, maybe you could say, which aims to provide a support network for those who have left Islam and to promote secularism, human rights, and freedom of expression. He has spoken on various. Okay, that's fine. Sultan's writings and activism have generated controversy and criticism, particularly from conservative Muslim groups who see his work as an attack on Islam and Islamic values. However, he has also received support and praise from those who see his work as a courageous attempt and important contribution to the public conversation about religion. And okay, who is Armin Navabi? Hey! Armin Navabi is an Iranian-Canadian atheist activist, author, and a podcaster. He is the founder of the online platform Atheist Republic, which aims to provide a community for atheists around the world. It should say largest online platform for atheists. And Navabi is also the author of several books. Wait, what?
I don't know.
Yeah. It did the same.
I wrote some parts that was used in a book, but I only wrote one book.
Yeah. Why there's no God?
The atheist Muslim. That's not me. That's Ali Rizvi.
Yeah.
I hijacked Ali Rizvi's book.
The Atheist Muslim was written by Ali Rizvi, not Armin Navabi. It's going to say, okay, I apologize. What is that?
Why is it?
I apologize for the mistake. You're correct. The Atheist Muslim, a journey from religion. Not Armin Navabi. Ali Rizvi is a Pakistani. Okay, he's a Pakistani Canadian writer, musician who writes. Anyway, so I'm just gonna. Navabi is a frequent speaker at conferences and events around the world where he shares his perspectives on atheism, secularism, and human rights. He has also been a guest on various podcasts and media programs and has debated religious leaders and apologists on topics such as the existence of God, morality, and okay. Who is more effective? Haris Sultan or Armin? He's gonna give no opinion. And then I cannot provide a subjective opinion on who is more effective between both individuals. Are prominent figures. Oh man, he's very kind. Prominent figures in the ex-Muslim community, and have made significant contributions to the public conversation about religion. Haris Sultan and Armin Navabi have different backgrounds and approaches to their activism, but both have been outspoken critics of Islam and have used their platforms to advocate for the rights of I could go a dark rabbit hole with it. Do you support Armin Navabi has burnt the Quran? What do you think?
Don't feed it. Don't feed it bad information about me.
Anyway, yeah, okay. All right. Let's just get on with it.
Wait, look, here's a question. Somebody's asking in the live chat. Armin, are you and Haris both jealous that you cannot stop Islam and 2 billion Muslims from growing? I mean, technically, that will give us something to do. So
it gives us employment, man. It's actually good for us. Yeah. And you can't reward these people who spam. So just right click and block these people.
No. I actually like that kind of information. The only reason
but they
why
get
I
rewarded.
No, I want to reward it because I want that kind of information. It's funny, but the only reason why I blocked this guy because if he asked it once, I wouldn't block him. But this guy posts the same question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So if you want to not get blocked, just ask it once, and well, you can stay. You can stay.
Let's man. We've spent 15 minutes. We've got a lot of questions to go through. Let's just go.
Yeah. Well, let's go with questions. Okay. So, Patreon questions. Guys, if you want me and Harris to answer your questions, you could become a patron on Secular Jihadists Patreon. That the link is in the description of the video on Secular Jihadists. But also, please support Harris Sultan as well. The link to his Patreon is also in the description. So here's a Patreon question by Creationism Slayer saying, I recently got a job with the government and I have to swear in for it. You are allowed to swear in without using any books, but I think that's a bit lame. What's a book to swear in on as a secular person? I was thinking maybe The Social Contract by Rousseau. Nah, Rousseau, I don't like Rousseau. No, Rousseau is like, if you want to do social contract, John Locke is a better person. That John Locke did social contract better than both Hobbes and Rousseau are not very good for social contract. John Locke is better for social contract, right? I really miss the old podcast opening. You should bring it back as a throwback sometimes. Oh yeah, I could do that. Wait, you should do my book. Why there's no God?
You got me. I was gonna say you should do my book. Here's my book. My book is somewhere there.
Oh, you should have it by your
Yeah.
Why there's no God? This is a good book too.
Yeah. You should just do it to piss them off because that would make a statement that hey, I am going against religions, not just how I want. You didn't let me be neutral and secular, so I'm gonna go one step ahead now. I'm gonna say this book that craps on such and such religion.
If you do my book, can you please record it, the video, and send it to me? So that would be amazing. Yes, that would be amazing if you could do that. That would be okay. By the way, guys, the way it works for you guys to send us a question if you're a Secular Jihadist patron, I post a link to the stream a day before we go live, and you can post your questions, and only patrons can see it, and you can post your questions under it for me to read them. Let me actually show you how that works. So, for example, if you look here, so I post a link to the stream a day before. And here's the questions are posted under it. And then I come here and I ask them live on air. All right. So that's the first question. Next question is by Prometheus, our very own demigod. What do you guys think about the legality of, can I say this on air? I think I can say it. Okay. The legality of incest. I personally believe that it should be allowed with the condition that they should not be allowed to procreate. Do you think that the stigma behind this is justified from an evolutionary point of view, or is it just an arbitrary cultural norm? Well, I don't think it's evolutionary. It is evolutionary that we're disgusted by it, but that doesn't mean it's justified, because for something to be justified and for something to be evolutionary, these are two separate questions, right? Because if you think something because we have an evolutionary disgust for it that would make it justified, then you're going into a very dark territory. Just because something made sense from an evolutionary perspective for our survival, that doesn't mean that it's moral or it should be part of our ethical standards, right? That is, I'm not accusing you of anything, but that's what the Yahtzees, again, I'm using code language here so that it doesn't get misinterpreted here. In fact, many things that we consider moral is the opposite of what is evolutionary in our benefit. So, for example, evolutionary for our survival is the survival of the fittest, right? But in a society, the rules are actually the opposite. We are actually, we come up with rules and standards that we look after the weakest, not the fittest. So it's the opposite, right? So don't try to use evolution as a way to come up with moral standards. That one thing. But let me finish answering and then I'll get to you, okay? Second of all, the legality of it and the morality of it are two separate things, right? Technically, morally, I don't see anything wrong with it. If you're careful not to have a child, unless you, if you're both adults, if you're both consenting adults, and if there's no power dynamics at play. So even, for example, let's say there's incest, but there's a father and daughter, and they're both adults, but because of the conditioning of the daughter, there's some power play at play. So if you think about it, like in a workplace, you don't allow sexual relationship between a boss and an employer, because if you allow that, there could be power dynamics that you're taking advantage of. That could be the same thing when it comes to a
I'm
father
doing it.
and a
Don't worry
daughter.
about it. You focus on that.
Yeah.
I'll keep on.
Okay, thank you for removing your book. But here's the thing. I'm not. It doesn't make sense to look at this only from a utilitarian perspective. You have to look at it from a rule utilitarian perspective instead of an act utilitarian perspective. So if you look at it from an act utilitarian perspective, you're like, there's no harm, so why not do it? But a better model is a rule utilitarian perspective, which you look at the consequences of saying something is okay beyond the immediate results of that one specific action, right? So for example, let's say that you have a rule that you don't pass the red light even if it's safe, okay? Because if you allow such a rule, so like, okay, I'm going to stand behind the red light when there are cars, but when I can see that there's no cars, there's no harm, so you just pass it. So if you allow that rule, you're opening the door to a whole bunch of potential harm, because you're passing a red line. It's just safer to have that red line, even if you could find exceptions. So that's why the concept of rule utilitarianism, right? So when it comes to act utilitarianism, you could find a lot of ridiculous situation. You could be like, in this specific situation, would this be wrong? They're like, okay, well, in that specific situation, that would not be wrong. But it's best for us to still have this rule, because the consequences of allowing this in general could be very bad for society. So it's basically a step between just ultimate act utilitarianism and having principles, or using deontology, right? Or using virtue ethics. It's something in between. So you're still concerned. Your main concern is still harm reduction. So it's utilitarianism, but you're looking at the longer term effects of allowing something. So the problem with incest is that you might come up with examples that be like, okay, yes, in this one specific example, there's no harm, but maybe it's good for us, society as a whole, to make this taboo, and also to make it illegal. Because if you allow that, then the benefit, think about what is the benefit. Some people, a very very few number of people who wanted to have a sexual relationship and weren't causing any harm, now get to be with each other. But on the other hand, you're opening the door to a lot of abuse. A lot of abuse that might not be monitored anymore because you had made something legal. So the consequences of allowing that might be damning. Just in the same way that let's say, for example, you change the rule that crossing the red light is not always illegal. If it's 2 a.m. and you could check that there's no cars, you can pass a red light. Imagine if you introduce that rule. The consequences of that is significant, because now every time somebody passes a red light, you could make it, now that person has an argument. Well, I considered it to be safe. So how come you're telling me that it wasn't safe, but I'm saying it's safe? Now you could have a lot more accidents just because you're opening a loophole. And was it really that necessary? How much time society is wasting because at 2 a.m. you have to wait behind a red light? Are you really adding that much benefit to society by allowing that, given the potential harm? So I would say that even though I still think it's not immoral, it should still be illegal. Even though it's not immoral for people to commit incest, because they could do absolutely no harm, the consequences of allowing it, making it legal, could be so much more than the small potential benefit that you get from allowing it. And that's why I think it should still remain illegal. Does that make sense? You're muted.
Yes, I would go even further than that. the benefits. I wouldn't even see the benefits. But anyway, so Armin, Navabi, and I, we spoke about this a couple of years ago. There it is, 3 years ago now. It says, just Google that. Should incest be allowed? Armin Navabi versus Har Sultan. If I remember correctly, but I know there's so many nuances, so there could be a bit of a difference in. I'm sensing a little bit of a change in Armin Navabi's answer, but again, like our views evolve and change over time. So this is I also go down the consequentialist route, and it's not a slippery slope fallacy if you can actually demonstrate that it has happened. So if you normalize incest, for example, by the way, let's get some easy ones out of the way very easy. Parents, between parents and children, definitely no power dynamics involved. Again,
adult children, adult like kids, like children,
adult kids as well, because you open them to grooming their children. Like if you have a daughter or a son from the age of 1 or 2, you've groomed them in a way that they grow up to think that it's okay for them to sleep with their parent. So that would be a very bad society to live in. So that's why. So parent one is gone. Okay, siblings 2 same age. Now they say, they love to give this hypothetical to us. Okay, if they have if they were safe sex and they use protection and they don't intend to make any babies, blah blah blah. Would then, okay, on that individual scale, yes, you can't detect any direct harm from it. But again, there's so many things, there's so many natural taboos that you can remove, but they can end up creating a terrible world around you. So we could have, before you know it, if you've normalized this, okay, brother and sister can sleep with each other, but they're not going to make any babies. Okay, how long before that changes? That's just going to change. By the way, none of this is ever going to happen in the future, because I'll come to that as well. So from consequentialist point of view, that's going to be bad. I remember Armin argued with me. Armin said, no, that's a slippery slope fallacy, that, okay, a generation later, something else would change. I said, no, look at the Muslim world, particularly Pakistan. Everywhere else, cousin marriages are frowned upon. Nobody wants cousins to marry each other. But in Pakistan, it was normalized. Now, Pakistan is number 1 in consanguineous marriages. Is that how you say it? I don't even know why you even attempted that. I should have just said cousin marriages. So Pakistan is number 1 in there. Why? Because they removed that. They said they normalized it. So when you normalize something, it is bound to have a consequence in the real world. So if you normalize this, that's going to happen. Now there's a flaw in this argument. I'll say it. I've known it always, but it just leaves 2 gay brothers and lesbian sisters with each other. Well, I said, well, let him get on with it. Like,
two brothers and 2 sisters. Honestly, I think that is, like, I don't know the other forms of this. I think they should let that be. Gay brothers and gay sisters wanting to have incest.
There's another point in that.
Yeah. So you agree with that? That should be allowed.
But there's another point in that. Whether you allow it or not is irrelevant, because what people do in secret, nobody knows anyway. There are these people, like there's this incest going on all the time in all kinds of countries. In Muslim countries, it happens a lot. In more closed societies, it happens a lot. People don't know it. People do kind of things behind. So the question here is, should the society, should we make laws against it? Should we decriminalize it? So that one, I say, as a society, we cannot allow certain things. We cannot. For example, I'll give you another one. By the way, if you are having trouble, please speak to someone. There are helplines available if you're feeling down. There's always help around you. Call your local number. For example, there's suicide. In so many countries, suicide is not allowed. It's criminal. But you're like, what the hell are you doing with that? But it's a statement that as a state, we don't encourage you to kill yourself. That's what it says. So you can make, as a society, you can make a statement that this is not allowed. We don't endorse that. But people end up doing those things anyway. Have you ever seen that someone didn't kill himself because he thought that, I'm going to go to jail otherwise? Nobody does that. So in using the same line of reasoning, I would say, as a society, we cannot say that it's okay for you to go and do this and this and this. But as long as if it happens in the background, it happens anyway. It happens anyway, but we as a society don't endorse it. And I've given you the reason. For sibling sex, opposite sex, definitely not. Parents, Kids, definitely not. Lesbian sisters and gay brothers, well, let them be.
Okay, look at this. I think ChatGPT is broken. I ask it, should sex between two adult sisters be allowed? Okay. ChatGPT says, no, sex between two sisters should not be allowed. Incestuous relationships between family members, including siblings, are generally considered taboo in most cultures and are illegal in many jurisdictions. Incestuous relationship can result in a range of harmful consequences, including genetic abnormalities. Dude, I'd ask you, the question is about two sisters. Two sisters. How could it be? How could it cause a genetic abnormal? Does ChatGPT know that two women cannot have babies?
It gave you a very generic answer. Again, like when you go into siblings or whatever, people straight away, yeah, and that shows ChatGPT's bias as well because it's been designed by humans. It goes straight into brother and sister. That's what it goes straight into.
Including genetic abnormalities in any offspring that may result, as well as emotional and psychological harm to both parties involved. Yeah, because of society. Okay, because of how big of a taboo is by society, not because it's inherently wrong. Moreover, incestuous relationships can damage family relations and social norms. Yeah, but if social norms, okay, so this is a fault of society, not because of those people. Because social norms are there to make it taboo, these people will suffer. Yeah, but if society was accepting, they wouldn't suffer. Therefore, sex between but I think I accept that, given that it's a taboo and given that you would pay a heavy price for it. Okay, so stay away from it because if people find out, you're screwed. So maybe in that aspect, like if you want a consequentialist, I would say stay away from it. But not because it's your fault. But it's because society, it doesn't look.
No, but society has a reason.
Not reason. Society was against. Society finds gay relationships gross as well. So for a long time, so it doesn't have. It might have a reason. That doesn't mean it has a good reason.
No, but incest natural taboo. There's a good reason behind it.
Prometheus is asking, but what about personal liberties then? I mean, personal liberties, it's not absolute. You could be like, I don't want to cross a red light. I want to cross a red light, like, and you can't. And like, well, what about my personal liberties? Like, there's a limitation to personal liberties, right?
Well,
but so we got a super chat. I don't know if it was.
Yeah, if Sunday Scoop is returning, please explain the real reason it finished in the first place. Well,
thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I don't know. I don't know where you got that. It's returning. I don't think it's coming back. And I think we explained that in our last Sunday Scoop. The why we left. I mean, Nuria had other things to do. She's got other things to do, and she's doing other things.
See, look, France allows it. Okay, so Terrell is saying the power dynamic point that I made about incest is probably why France allows incest between adult siblings, but not parent and adult child. So yes, you see, I mean, France is not breaking apart, and they allow it, so it's fine, I guess. Yeah. People like, okay.
All right.
And Tino is saying to
your support means the world to us. Please like and share our streams.
Yes. Please do that. All right, next question. I already answered this one. This is good. D is asking, is there any way to combat propaganda? Yes, ChatGPT. The big lie in the U.S., the defensive war, the Russians are fighting. Wait, which one? The big lie. Yeah, I know the big lie. In the U.S. and the defensive war. Oh yeah, Putin. Did you see Putin's speech came out? Like, yeah, they saying that this was like they started the war. I'm like, are you like, who are these people that are cheering you? Are these people delusional? I can't believe how many Russians believe it.
Russians believing is okay. You can understand because they block Twitter, they block you. YouTube is still active, but Facebook they've blocked a lot of things, and there's a lot of propaganda. State-run TV only. They've cancelled channel licenses for a lot of private channels that were critical of Putin and the Kremlin. You can understand that a little bit, okay? But people in the West are sucking up to Putin, and they're like they're calling horrible horrible names to Zelensky, or he's too short, comedian, actor. I don't like his voice. I don't like his face. Like, what the hell?
They're like the NATO started it. Okay, NATO started the war because Ukraine was trying to see if they could join NATO. Okay, this is so insane.
Because it's so stupid. The argumentation is so stupid.
Voluntarily is trying to join NATO because Putin was a threat. I mean, they did attack Georgia, right? So they're like, okay, we need allies to be able to defend themselves. And apparently that is an attack in Russia, where Russia had to defend itself against NATO. It's so insane. But anyways, I don't want to get into that. Let me read the question. Is there any way to combat propaganda? The big lie in the U.S., the so-called defensive war the Russians are fighting, and the Hindutva narrative of the threat of the less than 15% of the Muslim population in India have all had very serious consequences. Yes, there's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of nonsense that people just believe in. What is the way to combat it? Is just to raise awareness. I don't know. Do you know any better? I think ChatGPT AI is going to help a lot, right? So wait, let's see if ChatGPT will answer this question properly. Okay. Oh no, okay. ChatGPT doesn't know about the Russia thing. I have to ask.
Yeah, it does, because it's September 2021.
I think how do you answer the question? Can you answer the question while I ask Bing AI?
Hindutva narrative of the threat of the less than 15% of the Muslim population in India have all had very serious consequences. Yeah, well, that's it. You just got to keep talking against it. I think that's the only way. You got to keep speaking against it. You got to keep knocking sense into people's heads, and it works. I think it works. I think the whatever little voice we have, it works. I've had lots of letters and calls from people, especially in India and Pakistan, who say that they've changed their minds. But you're right. These populist narratives are easier to sell, and it has given rise to a lot of right-wing celebrities, echo chambers all around the world, and people peddle those ideas. But I think that there was I don't know who conducted that study or a poll. I think 73% of the American public actually support Ukraine. But there are some people who obviously they belong to the Republican Party mostly, and they have their own Trump narrative and World War III hysteria. They're creating all of that, and just because because Biden has stood by Ukraine, they're just going after Ukraine, and they're like, oh, we can't give a blank check. We're pouring billions into it. These idiots don't realize that defense of Ukraine is incumbent on the free world, and because America is the leader of the free world, that's why the biggest part of the responsibility falls on America. All the other countries are pulling their weight in as well. The UK, France, Germany, Canada, I think very little Australia as well, but depending on the sizes of their economy, proportionately, they are doing their bit. So, but when you look at, I don't know how much money the US has put in, like something like it's 100 billion, let's just say 100 billion. That's nothing. That's nothing compared to the American GDP. I look at these Republicans. To be honest, I mean, Ronald Reagan would be tossing and turning in his grave, thinking that, whoa, Republicans are supporting Putin, Russia? And they're like, oh, look, that's where my tax dollars are going. What about homeless people in America? What about the decaying infrastructure in America? Those things are separate, and they keep everything. All of these things work simultaneously. That's the same argument when you send a rocket in space. People say, what about the homeless people? What about the bridge down the road? So it's quite, but at this point, the vast majority of the American public, they do support Ukraine, but some people worry that it might change.
Here, I ask Bing's AI, is Putin's war on Ukraine defensive? I am not asking ChatGPT because ChatGPT doesn't even know. It's not updated. right? So Bing's AI is saying, this is a complex and controversial topic that has many different perspectives and interpretations. According to some sources, 1, 2, and 3, okay, Putin invaded Ukraine for various reasons, such as to restore Russia's influence and prestige in its former Soviet sphere of interest, to prevent Ukraine from joining NATO and the European Union, to protect the rights and interests of ethnic Russians and Russian speakers in eastern Ukraine, to divert attention from domestic problems and boost his popularity at home, to challenge the US-led world order and assert Russia's role as a global power. However, these reasons have been disputed by other sources, which argue that Putin's war is a violation of international law and human rights, a threat to regional stability and security, a source of immense suffering and displacement for millions of Ukrainians, and miscalculations that has isolated Russia diplomatically and economically, a sign of weakness and desperation rather than strength. Therefore, it is hard to say whether Putin's war on Ukraine is defensive or offensive, as it depends on one's perspective and values. What do you think? Well, I think that all of these reasons, even if all of them are true, even the first, they're all still makes it offensive. So these down here makes it offensive, but none of these also makes it, this doesn't make it defensive, because there's none of these reasons at the top suggest that there was going to be a war on Russia. So both reason up here and down here makes it offensive, not defensive.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think it still wants to, in an effort to be very neutral, or maybe it's us because we have our own biases. That's why we can't see through it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because we are stubborn creatures as well. Because our minds are also set. Like, okay, Ukraine is a democracy and has a right to exist. Ukraine does not want to be a client state of Russia, does not want to have a puppet leader of Putin. Ukraine wants to, wants to be independent and wants to align with the European Union and the West. If Putin doesn't like it, he can go to hell. But so our mind is set on that. And now anything that happens post that, we're not going to appreciate it. We're not going to like it. So that's why I think maybe the AI is looking from the other perspective as well. How do you answer this? This is a common knockback that I get from pro-Putin people, that the Cuban Missile Crisis. Why did America not allow missiles in Cuba? Because America felt threatened. So the same way, isn't Russia right to feel threatened with NATO?
No. Oh my God, this is such a not a good.
I have my answers too, but how do you answer it? I want to see your answer.
Okay, many reasons. Okay, first of all, that was in the middle of a Cold War where these two countries were in danger of taking each other out with nukes. That was a genuine threat. Okay, a genuine threat that U.S. could nuke Russia or Russia could nuke U.S. the Soviet Union. I mean, okay, not Russia, but. So having the Soviet Union sending nukes to US's back door was a major, major threat to the end of civilization as we know it. And even though that was such a major threat, look what happened. That even didn't end up they use an example of how high level the risk was that eventually didn't even end in the war. So they're like, oh my God, this is like Cuba. Well, U.S. didn't actually attack Russia at the Soviet Union at the end of it. So first of all, the threat was a lot higher. And second of all, it didn't end up into war, even though the threat was a lot higher. But look, compare that to what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. They're like, oh, nukes came into U.S.'s back door and U.S. had the right to be afraid. Well, like, okay, U.S. had the right to be afraid because these nukes had a high potential of being dropped in New York. Is Russia afraid of Ukraine dropping nukes in Moscow? Like, is that a serious threat here? Is Russia thinking like, oh my God, Ukraine is going to attack me and nuke me? And people are like, no, it's afraid that NATO is going to do it. You're insane. NATO is a defensive treaty. NATO is not going to attack Moscow. NATO is defensive in nature. NATO is there because Russia is a threat, not because NATO is a threat to Russia. NATO was never going to even consider attacking Russia. Do you really think that people think that Ukraine joining NATO is going to increase the likelihood of NATO just nuking Moscow one day? You're insane if you think that. Think about the threat NATO is to Russia, to its existence, compared to how high that is, which is it's not high at all. Compare that to how threat, like we were so close to nuclear annihilation at that point in the Cold War. You have no idea. We were seconds away. From to the end of civilization. And you're comparing that as to Ukraine genuinely being concerned. Putin had signaled that they want to attack Ukraine way before this. Putin, the whole idea of NATO being like expansionist and being a threat to Russia is an excuse, because NATO was not even accepting Ukraine to NATO because they didn't want to give Putin an excuse. Like, Ukraine wanted to join NATO. NATO put that on hold because they were afraid of Putin, because they knew that Putin was always looking for an excuse to. This was his plans to begin with. So, they attacked Georgia. So look at this. If you're Ukraine, you're looking at Georgia like, oh my God, these people are expansionists. They're attacking other countries, and you want to defend yourself, and now you are being blamed for intimidating Russia just because you're trying to defend yourself. It doesn't make any sense.
I just don't understand this way of thinking. This guys, we provoked the war. Yeah, we said. First of all, second. Look
at Putin's own declaration. The reason it tells you why they went into Ukraine. It's not about NATO. They said that this is part of Russia. They said Ukraine he has always seen Ukraine part of Russia. Everything else has been an excuse. But go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I just don't get this. Yeah, you put it perfectly well. Who are these people who think that had Ukraine joined NATO, that would have changed Russia's situation? It would have changed it. It wouldn't have changed it. Right. There are two possibilities when we look at it. One, NATO expansionism. They did do it so they could invade or endanger Russia, or Russia is just lying about it, and they just wanted to expand, and they wanted to take Ukraine because everyone knows that Putin has always said that Russian and Ukrainian are the same people. We should be merged into one. And this whole NATO woohoo is just BS. It just didn't exist. Anyway, I think it's just for our own interest. I don't know, my mind's not working today. I think that ChatGPT's killed it. Historically, America had provoked the war. That's true, but we're doing it for our own interest. I don't bother to judge at this point. But I don't understand how America, again, people just forget it. Let's just move on.
All right, so we got a super chat by Anonymous saying,
"Yeah, I don't know what
tell
this
the truth, Harris."
Yeah, well, I have told the truth. I don't know what that person said.
Tell the truth about what?
It's about the Sunday Scoop coming back. I said no, it's not coming back.
Okay, well, thank you for the support.
Yeah, thank you.
I have the last patron question, and I think this is a very good question because more people need to pay attention to this. D is asking. Okay, do you want me to answer this question myself?
Yeah,
you could go.
No.
Okay. It's the last question, so we could go after this. D is saying Israel's right wing, I think. Right word shift. Israel's rightward shift is straining its ties with U.S. Jews. Where does that leave Israel if they lose their U.S. backing? I have an article about this if you want me to read it. Or I could just summarize it using ChatGPT. What do you think about this? Do you want me to read the article?
I don't know. You tell me. I don't know anything about it.
Okay. Well, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, let me just read the article really quick. I'm not going to read the article because I'll when Harris gives his opinion, I'll get ChatGPT to summarize it, and I'll just read the summary.
I don't know.
But, huh? No,
I said,
but
no,
this
I don't
is,
have an opinion on that. I haven't been following this whole Israel.
it's important. It's
Yeah, I'm
I
listening to
told
you.
people,
I want to listen more.
okay. I mentioned before that this is going to have major consequences beyond Israel borders, and this is one of those examples, right? And this is actually a silver lining, I think, because the amount of influence that Israel has on U.S. politics is is very, destructive, right? I mean, it's not just Israel. I don't want to go with the conspiracy of like Jews are, controlling the world and everything. Saudi Arabia has a lot of negative influence on U.S. politics as well, right? And many other industries as well. But oh, we got another super chat. I'm gonna read that later. But I think like this divorce happening because there's a lot of young American Jews who don't think like their parents. They don't see this loyalty between Jews and U.S. Jews and Israel. And I think it's good to separate that. It's good to separate that because it's good for. It just doesn't make any sense for, and there's a lot of unhealthy habits that many Israeli Jews also have when it comes to agreeing with a lot of criticisms that they have with their own country, Israel, but not voicing it because they think that Israel is in such a threat that you shouldn't be criticizing it because it's trying to stay alive, right? It could be, and I think the situation in Israel has gone so bad that that attitude is dying. Like I talked to a lot of leftist Israelis that used to be silent about a lot of their uh, Israeli politics, and now like, okay, this is it. Now I have to come and speak out. This is like we're losing the democracy. We're losing liberalism and secularism in our country, and we need to come and speak out. You've seen the protests, like people are coming out and they're voicing their opinions. However, as much as it's good to see a divorce between Israeli politics and American Jews, that's a good thing to see, but that's a very, 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 very small silver lining because the consequences of this divorce of U.S. not being able to rely as much as before on Israel as an ally in the region, it's still going to be, they're still going to be really close buddies, right? But it's just going to be a lot less reliable at a time that we need unity against Iran, right? The United States is doing a major shift to the Pacific to focus on China, and it has a lot less resources and ability to focus on the Middle East. And that's why the policy by the Biden administration and before that by the Obama administration was to try to get its allies in the region to just figure this out with themselves, like to instead of coming in and managing things, to get Israel, Saudi Arabia, the other Gulf Arab countries like Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, and even Egypt to be involved in just getting support from the US, but then them managing this themselves. And you can see the Iran threat has been so major that it has pushed traditional enemies close together as allies to be able to, and the lack of reliability on US because US is more concerned with China right now has brought all these countries together to be close with each other to be able to provide stability in the Middle East themselves. But this shift to the right by Israel has made Israel a much less reliable ally because for two reasons. First, Israel is now going to be a lot more focused internally rather than focusing on having it focused on trying to fight back against Iran and provide stability around the Middle East. Two, Arab countries are going to find it a lot more difficult to be allies with Israel because of their own population looking at the anti-Arab attitude of Israel and being more critical of their governments trying to go forward with the Abraham Accord. And three, again, U.S. backing Israel is going to be difficult because a lot of liberal Americans are going to have a lot of problem with Israel as well. Yeah.
I was just going to add to that, and I was raising my finger for that. Like, even for the U.S., for the free world, they can't. Yeah, it becomes difficult for them to support a country that has, a huge, unliberal, right-wing, religiously motivated, conservative population, and that's one of the problems with India as well. India being the largest secular democracy, that's why the free world is a bit different from India, even though like the West or the free world would align themselves. They would put India before China or any other authoritarian country. But these tendencies are embarrassing for the rest of the world.
Especially
towards
LGBT,
conservatism. Yeah.
especially LGBT right. You know, because that's a major taboo now, and you know, and Israel. Let me see if I could summarize this in one paragraph.
Okay. Yeah. Once you're done, I've got a funny video to play.
Okay.
I didn't do much homework today.
It's okay. We have our days. Okay, so look at this. Oh my god, I freaking love ChatGPT. It's great. So yeah, next time I have articles people send to me, I'm gonna have the summary before. So here's the summary of the article by ChatGPT. Jewish leaders in the United States are concerned that the new Israeli government will threaten Israel's democracy with fears over the independence of the judiciary and legal protections of minority groups. Yeah, so this one is actually pretty problematic because did you know Israel is making it difficult for people to appeal their case? So if you're an Arab and you get arrested and you want to appeal your arrest, they're making it difficult as an Arab for you to be able to appeal that. So that's horrible. And the judiciary system is going to lose its independence, and the Knesset, the parliament in Israel, is going to have a lot of influence on what is legal and what is illegal. So that's the basically the separation of the branches of power are which is the main fundamental principle of how democracies work ever since Montesquieu. That is being questioned. So basically, this is going to break the liberal democracy in Israel if that happens, right? So while some Jewish leaders dismiss such fears, a solid majority of mainstream Jewish American groups are voicing unprecedented criticism of Israel's government, raising concerns about a growing rift between Israel and the predominantly liberal American Jewish population. This comes amid a flare-up of deadly violence involving Israeli and Palestinians, with Israel troops conducting a raid in the West Bank that killed at least 11 Palestinians and wounded scores. Yeah, this is actually very interesting because the major problem is that Israel's major ally is U.S., and Israel relies on American Jews to keep this allyship close. But the problem is American Jews are a lot more liberal than the Israeli government. So the Israeli government is doing itself a major disservice by going right-wing, because American Jews, which you need for this tie to continue, are not going to like Israel going right-wing. So it's going to basically cut this tie. I mean, not completely, but it's going to damage it. So we got a super chat. Oh, where did the super chat go? I forgot to start it.
No, there isn't any.
No, there was one. Why?
No,
you
there
don't like
isn't.
the super chat?
No, I don't like the super chat.
Wait, hold on. Okay, you go. Where is the super chat?
No, there isn't. Just leave it. Okay, so
wait, it was a big super chat.
Yeah,
here, I'll read it.
No!
But okay, was it to your channel or my channel?
Yes, it was to my channel. It was a troll.
Okay, it was a troll. Okay, I'm not gonna read it. Sorry.
Okay. Jeez, man, you just suck at it. Okay, so we're gonna you know Armin TLP, your friend TLP, Saad Rizvi. You know their doctrine and what they stand for. So they so as you know, we've spoken about it a little bit before, that Pakistan is going through this economic turmoil, IMF bailout, waiting on, there's a potential default looming. All of these things are happening. But the religiosity, it's not that simple anymore, that people just don't look inwards. And this is why religions are so dangerous, that it closes people's minds to a point that they cannot introspect anymore. Let me play a video to you. You know, obviously, in light of what happened in Sweden with the Quran banning and everything, there's this new video came out, has been doing rounds on Twitter and social media. I have to. Sorry, I didn't have time to put subtitles on, so I'm just gonna translate it for you as it goes. It's not a very long video, so I'll just play it to you.
के वजीर आजम को लेके अपनी तमाम काबीना को लेके जहाज भर के पाकिस्तान की इकोनॉमी बचाने के लिए चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ को भी आगे लगाकर दुनिया में जाकर हर एक के दरवाजे पर भीख मांग रहे हो.
So he's basically criticizing the government. He's saying that you guys, the army chief, prime ministers, all your country's diplomats and politicians, you are going door to door to each and every country, and you're begging and you're saying that, hey, we're trying to revive the economy of our country.
कोई तुम्हें देता है, कोई तुम्हें नहीं देता.
Some people give you money, some people don't.
कोई अपनी शराइत बनवाता है. क्यों जा रहे हो? काजी मुल्क की इकोनॉमी खतरे में है. हम मुल्क की मईशत बचाने के लिए.
Why are you going there? Oh, we're going there to revive our country's economy. We're trying to save Pakistan.
रहे हैं. मैंने कहा इधर आओ. तुम कहते हो पाकिस्तान के रोडों पे निकलने से कुछ नहीं होता. एक बार बाहर निकलो, कुरान को दाएं हाथ में उठाओ और एटम बम वाले बक्से को बाएं हाथ में उठाओ.
So go to Sweden and go to these countries, hold a nuclear bomb in one hand and hold the Quran in one hand, and then the whole world will listen to you.
और पूरी काबीना भर के स्वीडन ले जाओ और जाकर कहो कि हम कुरान के तहफ़्फ़ुज़ के लिए आए हैं. सारी कायनात की नेमतें अगर तुम्हारे पाँव में ना आ गई तो हमारा नाम बदल के रख देना.
So he's saying that go to Sweden, hold a nuclear bomb in one hand, hold the Quran in one hand, go to Sweden and tell them, hey, look, we are the defenders of Islam. The whole world will shower you with blessing and money. If they don't do it, then change my name to something else. But these people, I didn't play the last part where all these people are celebrating. Look at this, they're dancing. They're like, yes, he made a very good point. These are serious people, Armin Navabi. They genuinely believe that his father, I don't think if you remember, his father once also famously said, the one who's the founder of TLP, he also said that, oh, are the Westerners blackmailing you for the money that they've loaned to Pakistan? Well, tell them, hey, look, we don't have any money. If they still annoy you, then throw a nuclear bomb that way. He said it seriously. He said it. He said, then look, they would never trouble you again. but those of you who might think that this is some crazy guy, this guy won a lot of votes in 2018 general elections. He did.
This guy is actually popular.
His father did. Yeah. In every constituency, he was number 3 or number 4. So share your thoughts. I'll just bring up the actual number as well. How many votes he actually won?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not just a problem that you have a loon saying these things. It's also the fact that their ideas are popular. How popular are these ideas? Like, people we have a major problem, like in Pakistan, that like this is. Like, is this even fixable? Because we are so below where we need to be to even start fixing the problem in Pakistan. How popular is this kind of, like, do you think what percentage of Pakistanis would believe this as like a legit thing to say? Like, would be.
Well, they say 70% of Pakistanis are Barelvis. This guy is the leading voice of Barelvi sect of Islam. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring up the actual numbers. So 106 million people were registered to vote for National Assembly of Pakistan in 2018. So give or take 100 million. And 2.2 million people voted for this guy. Now, that might not sound much. That's only 2.2%, but that's not how it works. As you know, this is not presidential election. This is like in Pakistan, it's like a UK form of elections where there's per constituency you get votes. In comparison, Imran Khan also was only getting second most number of votes in 2008 general elections, and 10 years later he became the biggest leader. So in 2018 elections, Punjab is the biggest province of Pakistan. There are I don't know, if you win in Punjab, you win the whole of Pakistan. 60% of Pakistan is Punjab. So in a lot of these constituencies or these National Assembly seats, he was getting second most or the third most number of votes in Punjab in 2018 election. So there was a threat, so much so that people realized, and this is back then when his father was alive, and also at that time, that was the first general elections they had taken part in. So there is a fear that he is getting more and more popular, although we don't know how much support they're going to get this time from the military establishment. So there's a lot of, so I don't want to alarm people, but to answer your question, when you said that, how popular is this worldview? I personally don't live there, so I obviously follow it a lot, and there's no recent survey or study to show how successful is TLP. I think as we get closer to the general election, we're going to get some poll results, which will show how many people are supporting TLP's narrative, and they want to translate that into election victory. But Pakistan has always been a religiously conservative society and has been going downwards. So I worry about it.
What is it making it? How is it getting more religious? I don't understand. Like, what is it? What is the force that is making people more loony?
Because the intelligentsia and the populists and the social activists, etc., they've been popularizing. It's just that culture.
But that was there before.
It was always there, but nobody is considered virtuous for our celebrities and actors and even thinkers to just sit there on national TV and just bring Allah and religion into everything. So they've really contaminated. They've really told people that if you want to be good means being Muslim. So yeah, they blocked all alternative narratives. That's a good point. But one thing I wanted to ask, actually, I wanted to show you. You might actually like this. So there was a huge, but some liberal voices are also being heard or being.
Before you show that, I just want to let people know that we have a very limited time, but I posted a link on the community tab for Secular Jihadists, but only YouTube members can see it. If you want to come and ask or talk to me or Harris live on air, but you have a very short window to be able to click on it, because we're going to end the stream soon, because I think both me and Harris are very hungry.
Very hungry. Very hungry.
I'm hungry too. Yeah.
I didn't do any homework. So in a Pakistan, I mean, you might like this. These are the kind of questions you like, and we basically touch base on this question of incest. So there's a Pakistani university, ComSet. This is a relatively decent university. It's a private university, I think. So a professor there asked his undergrad or postgrad students, doesn't matter, it's university, this question. Julie and Mark are brother and sister. They're traveling together in France on summer vacation from college. One night, they are staying alone in a cabin near the beach. They decide that it would be interesting and fun if they tried making love. At the very least, it would be a new experience for each of them. Julie was already taking birth control pills, and Mark uses a condom too, just to be safe. They both enjoy making love, but they decide never to do it again. They keep that night as a special secret, which makes them feel even closer to each other. Now, here's a question. What do you think about that? Was it okay for them to make love? Give reasons for your answers and include some relevant examples from your own.
Wait, bring the top. Go to the top. I want to see who's the University of Islamabad campus. Why is this? Oh my God. What subject is this? Subject: English comprehension and composition. Yeah. This is why is it asking a morality question?
Yeah, I know that's one weak point. I know, I get that, and I did raise that concern in my last video, but yeah. So they're asking a moral question in an English class or an English subject. That was enough. But that was,
Is this a trap? Is this a trap? I don't know how she should answer this.
But this was enough to trigger them, so much so that there was this upheaval for the last few days. They have sacked the professor. Actually, I haven't read this yet, but let me show you that. So
what?
So this is a Government of Pakistan Ministry of Science and Technology, Office of the Federal Minister, PSO to Minister, inquiry against content of the quiz of English subject of B first semester course code, blah, blah, blah. The Honorable Federal Minister for Science and Technology. And again, look, this is broken as well. Why is the Federal Minister of Science and Technology being questioned? Has taken a serious note and shows his great concerns and grievance about the content of the quiz of English subject of Bachelor's of Engineering of ComSets and University Islamabad. The quiz was conducted on the 4th and 5th of December of 2022. Oh, okay. So it's been about a month. It's about a month old. The content of the quiz is highly objectionable and totally against the curriculum laws of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and caused unrest amongst the families of the students. Copy of the quiz is also enclosed herewith for your ready reference. In the light of above, the undersigned is directed to convey that the Rector ComStats University Islamabad may kindly take strict action against the responsible quarters and conduct an inquiry on the highly objectionably content of the quiz. The inquiry report must be submitted within a week and ensure that the involved unscrupulous officials, faculty must be punished on their vicious behavior. Vicious behavior!
What?
So anyway, so the guy has been sacked, and the professor has been sacked and harassed, and he's gone into hiding. And to answer to your question, when you said that why is Pakistan becoming more conservative, is because it's popular celebrity figures, intellectuals, or you want to call them intellectuals or whatever, the politicians, even ordinary people that you might think that they are not really that religious, but they feel pressured to come out in events like these and say, oh, look at this degeneracy. Look at this. Where are we going? This is Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Why are they like this? So that's what they do. And that's the reason why when masses look at them, they go like, oh, if I want to behave like a good human being, I need to behave like a pious Muslim. And these kind of things, these kind of exercises have no place in our. Yeah, the one technical problem with that is, it wasn't a moral philosophy class, so that's why it was probably misplaced.
Yeah, but the anger, it was.
Yeah, but the anger is again disproportionate.
Yeah, it's not justified. Yeah, you could be like, okay, this is not this I'm here to learn English, not. To...
but okay. One more thing though, but. It did say, what do you think about it? It wasn't propagating. It wasn't saying.
I know. Still, I don't.
No, but I have a question. No. Okay, so let's. Okay, I want to show something else to you.
Wait, we have two people waiting.
Yeah, I know. Very quickly, I'll wrap this up. Pakistan has these religious people have no leg to stand on when it comes to morality or something. Bahishte-Zevar, Heavenly Ornaments, one of the most popular books in Islam. It's from Hanafi jurisprudence. Look at the kind of things that are written in the books. Sorry, let me highlight. Let me do that. Sorry, give me a sec. Very quickly, we'll go to our patrons as well, and then we'll wrap this up. This is as I said, this book is called Heavenly Ornaments, page number 71. Things or act which make ghusl obligatory.
Ghusl is baptism.
Yeah. If a person has a ding dong with underage people, girls, bath will not be obligatory on her, but in order to get her into the habit, she should be made to bath. Look how disgusting that is. Now, some people have responded.
What is this source?
Heavenly Ornaments, page number 71. English.
Okay, but this is not authentic hadith, though. This is just commentary.
No. Yeah, it's a fiqh book. Yeah, I'm not criticizing Islam here. I'm criticizing Pakistan here. I'm saying that
Pakistan. Okay.
I'm saying these books are readily available. In fact, the Urdu version of this book is I don't know if it's still happening. It used to be handed in to every groom. It basically tells women how to behave or what her responsibilities are. So these are the kind of things that are written in there. The next part is so disgusting, I probably would get in trouble if I showed it. Anyway, so how can we as secular moral people whose morality is fluid, in light of better evidence and more information, we can raise questions and we can be criticized and we can criticize, but these people can't. Their morality is set in stone. These kind of books are written there and they talk about it. By the way, so it is a fiqh.
Isn't that what about is? Is that not what aboutism?
No. It would be whataboutism if I hadn't answered the original query. We have answered that. Now this is another point that I'm highlighting, that these guys can't do it. We can.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, yeah, that was interesting. All right, because I'm dying myself now as well. Now that you're hungry, so let's just Vikram. Can you ask a question and keep it very short? Get to the point.
Sure. My question was going to be on, I guess, what problems generally do you find with like Jordan Peterson?
What problems do I find with Jordan Peterson? I'll tell you, he's somebody that makes nonsense sound intelligent. Okay, by using making a very simple statement that if people listen to it, the simple version of it, it would be more obvious to more people how nonsensical it is. But he makes it needlessly complicated and uses philosophical and academic words to describe it and makes very baseless, stupid claims sound intelligent and academic. That's my main problem with Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
I agree.
Also, the second problem I have is that he doesn't believe in objective reality. He's you know how alternative facts, which everyone make fun of, he has a version of that which is called metaphorical truth, right? So things don't have to be true apparently for him to endorse them.
Yeah, I had a couple more questions, but I don't know. Like, it was going to be related to the other one.
No. Another thing is that he's somebody who hates postmodernism, but he's the best example of what's the problem with postmodernism, right? Like the whole, I mean, for somebody who hates postmodernism because it doesn't have a base in the truth and reality, he's somebody that doesn't seem to be actually have a base in truth and reality, and doesn't seem to even care whether something is based in truth and reality, right? So, but what do you think yourself, Vikram?
I wonder sometimes if there is a relation between why Andrew Tate became popular when you compare it to how Jordan Peterson became popular.
Yes, I do think the main gap, one of the main reasons of popularity is the gap of male role models. And the fact that many young men are feeling isolated, attacked, demonized, and alone, and depressed, and also economic hardships makes them have a hard time finding identity, because it's very difficult for men these days to find an identity that they could be proud of, because for many years their role in society was pretty set. They were the people who would start a family. There would be a father, there would be a husband, and there would be the breadwinner to the family. Now that has been questioned. There's less families. Your role as a provider to a family is not there as much anymore. So it's hard for you to understand who you are and what's your role in society. And it's very easy for fascists and far right people and many other nonsensical theories to come out and tell you, okay, well, you're not a father, you're not a husband, you're not a provider. Well, let me tell you what you could be. So this is a major gap that society needs to come up. And if you could radicalize young men, that's how you screw up the country. Young men are, if you don't give them an identity, hope, something to look forward to, that is, they're the most dangerous sect of society that you could take advantage of. So it's important for the left to learn from this, and instead of demonizing men, to try to reach out to them and provide them something more meaningful. And it's this is a major part of some feminists, is that they have gone in the interest of making women's rights more important. They have gone into isolating men and making them feel lesser because they're men. And that has led to a lot of this. So a lot of it is the left needs to there's a lot of blame on the left for what's happening here as well. So we need to look into that. But Harris, what do you think? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I to be honest, I stopped following him a long time ago. But did we play that video last? No, we didn't. Yeah, we'll probably do it next week.
Do it next time, because now
we'll do it next time. I'm hungry. I'm starving. Yeah.
Vikram, was that okay? Like, are you good with that?
Yeah, I just wanted to know that.
Thanks, Vicky.
That was a good question. Thank you. All right.
Goodbye, guys.
All right, let's go. Yeah,
Divya.
last one.
Yes,
Divya.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Am I
Hi.
audible?
Yes, you
Yes.
are.
Hi. So, actually, first of all, I am here to make
He.
off topic. I'm here to make an important complaint. You know,
Sorry, you got cut for a second when you said I am actually what?
So what is your pronoun? What did you say? You said you're a he? Did you say I'm a he or a she? We didn't understand that.
You got cut. Sorry, I don't know if you were telling us your pronouns. Divya, are you there? Oh, I feel bad now.
I don't feel bad. Divya is a female name.
Yeah, well, we don't know.
Well, yeah, you don't know.
Right.
I'm supposed to know, but, which is fair enough.
No,
I
but
mean,
somebody could. Somebody.
yeah, they
have-
could have a different pronoun. Yeah, of course, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
I would address them the way they want to be addressed, but I don't know.
By the way,
pronoun-
while we wait, let me comment on the name Divya because I think this has something to do with divine, right? Divya, divine. In
oh, yeah,
Hinduism,
possibly. Yeah, divine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Divya. Yeah.
So in Hinduism, divas are supposed to be like gods and goddesses, and because Sanskrit comes from the Indo-European and Hindu-Aryan languages that English came from, that divas and divya. Oh, she's back. Hello.
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 Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So, actually, I was asking about secular reality stream because I am very big fan of secular reality. So, I don't know where to complain. So, this is my one of the biggest complaints.
Okay. Tell me.
Yeah.
What is your complaint?
So
What is your
if there
complaint?
any-
Hello? Okay, I'm going to continue talking about Div. Okay, Div. Okay, are you there? Okay, so Div, here's Harris. This is a very. Oh, are you there? You said, "Oh God, we heard that." Hello.
Yeah, I think she's got a bad internet.
Okay, I'm going to just say this very quickly, okay, because it's very interesting. Divine and Divya are considered Divya, divine, divas are considered holy and divine because, and it's related to the English word divine, and Ashuras are considered in Hinduism to be the demons. Is that correct, Harris? Ashuras.
Yes.
Right? Okay, but think about this. In Persian religion, in Zoroastrianism, okay, Divs are supposed to be the demons, and Asuras or Ahuras are supposed to be the divine, which is the opposite of Hinduism. So, for example, what is the god, the main god in Zoroastrianism? Ahura Mazda. Ahura, right, is basically the same thing as Ashuras in Hinduism. Ashuras are demons in Hinduism, are the negative, are bad in Hinduism, but they're divine and holy in Zoroastrianism. Divas are holy in Hinduism, but Divs are the demons in Zoroastrianism. So they're a polar opposite. So these religions were like have the same roots, but for some reason it shifted at some point. Their demons become their divines. Yeah.
Not that surprising though. I mean, given that these civilizations are so close to each other, I didn't know that. This is quite interesting, actually. Divas and Asuras. Wow.
Yeah. So Asura is the same
Asura
thing. Yeah, Ahura Mazda and other Ahuras in Zoroastrianism are right. Yeah. So just an interesting thing I wanted you guys to know. Anyways, we should go eat. Oh, here's Sarah Harris.
I went to a talk because you were talking about JP. I went to a talk by JP once, very overrated, but is filling a void that Andrew Tate is also filling. Society needs to platform more men that are helpful in some way. Otherwise, trash can creep in. I don't know what you mean by that. So basically saying society needs people like JP and Andrew Tate because it fills a void?
No, we need. I think she means like we need men
people to counter
to replace.
Like,
better. Like we need men that are helpful, unlike JP and Andrew Tate, so that we don't get trash like JP and Andrew Tate. So we need like helpful male role models
Right.
with like positive rather than
Yeah,
toxic
I agree.
masculinity. They have positive masculinity, right? So that we don't have these people coming in and taking advantage of the game.
I agree.
By the way, we send them here. we are me and Harris are men, okay, and we are not toxic. I think, are we toxic, Harris?
Some people might say we are.
Okay, I think we're not toxic, so just send them here. We're helpful. We try to not be toxic. I don't know. You let us know if we're being toxic, so we can stop.
All right,
right.
right on the money. 2 hours.
Yes,
We're
yes.
done.
Talking about masculinity, let's go eat some protein.
I'm so hungry. It's
Yeah.
11 p.m. I had a nap, so I just woke up and I was like, oh, I'm so hungry. And then, yeah.
I know.
All right, people. Next week, I'll have a lot more stories and studies for you. Not studies, a lot of news stories.
Divya just sent me a message in the back channel saying, I think there's an issue with my connection. So sorry, Divya. Maybe like you could. So sorry. Maybe send me email. Yeah, armin.navabi@gmail.com. Mention that you're Divya. Okay. I will try to read it on our next stream. Anyways, guys, thank you everybody. Thank you for being here. Make sure you like and subscribe. Support us if you can. Link in the description. PayPal, Patreon, YouTube membership. Don't support us financially if you're suffering financially or if you're not stable. But if you are, consider supporting us. But you could just also just like and subscribe and leave a comment. That helps us grow the channel. See you next week, guys. And until then, bye. Mwah.